The news at 10. The interviews are complete and the decision has been made who will serve as the interim superintendent for the Tuscaloosa County Schools. Also ahead, Tuscaloosa leaders and state officials find themselves on opposite sides over a proposed shakeup in the Department of Mental Health. Now the two groups plan to meet to resolve their differences. Richard?
Yeah, John, coming out of home team weather, much of the deep south is dry tonight. A lot of cloud cover spreading in from the southwest. Now the storm system is on its way. How much rain can we expect? And what about that weekend forecast? Weather's coming up. Stay with us.
And the federal government is proposing steps to cut down on cell traffic on the highway. This time, they're looking at stopping it at the source. The news begins now.
You're watching Alabama's WVUA News at 10.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm John Huddleston. Moundville's Dan Butler has been hired as the interim superintendent of Tuscaloosa County Schools. He replaces Dr. Frank Costanzo, who is set to retire in the coming weeks. Now, Butler, along with two other candidates, faced tough questions tonight from the school board in a series of lengthy interviews. WVUA's Travis Leader was there and takes you through the school board's process.
The Tuscaloosa County Board of Education kept a narrow focus during their interim interviews. They took the candidates to task, first on how they would handle personnel decisions.
Recommendations for removing personnel would need to take place in a calm, dignified, professional manner without personal bias.
It's unfortunately, with no money, you can't hire. You can't hire additional units. And therefore, it's necessary that the local schools try to operate on what it is that they do earn.
Make the right choice to start with. You don't have to get involved in the termination part of it. It's when you hadn't done your homework that happens.
Period versus block scheduling has been a controversial topic for the school board in recent meetings, and each candidate offered their opinions.
The higher achieving school systems, the one that rank in the top 5 and top 10% of test scores, are on 7-period day.
Obviously, each of those systems or schedules have advantages and disadvantages.
I think you need to take a good hard look at it. What are we accomplishing by what we're doing? What's happened to achievement since we've had the block schedule?
Finally, a look at student discipline. Dr. Heitch argued for a case-by-case basis instead of a zero-tolerance policy, and the other candidates followed suit.
When you have a zero-tolerance policy, individual circumstances cannot be considered, and it does leave school system in some difficult situations.
There are certain activities and actions that students take which make it necessary to expel a child. But expulsion is very, very severe. That's like a death sentence.
In the end, by the school board's majority decision, Dan Butler is the newly hired interim superintendent. Butler says he is ready to hit the ground running. His first day will be next Tuesday. Reporting in Tuscaloosa, Travis Leader, WVUA News.
Although the school system now has an interim superintendent, the school board is still on the search for a long-term hire. Next Thursday, the board will interview 2 search firms who would start looking for a permanent replacement. A new proposal could limit how much you could use your cell phone while driving. For the first time, the federal government is encouraging car manufacturers to limit the distraction risk for in-vehicle electronic devices. Now, the guidelines would establish specifics for electronic devices installed in vehicles at the time they are manufactured. This could also mean that drivers will not be allowed to text or dial numbers while the car is moving. The National Transportation Safety Board called for a nationwide ban on the use of cell phones and text messaging devices while driving. More than 3,000 people in 2010 died in crashes caused by distracted driving. The Alabama Department of Mental Health says their focus will always be on the patients during the system transformation, and they want to assure members of the public that steps are being taken for safety. Commissioner of the Department of Mental Health, Zila Baugh, is planning a trip to Tuscaloosa tomorrow, where she says she will talk with Tuscaloosa leaders about their concerns with the new changes coming. In a release today, Baugh said, quote, "Every patient will be assessed for individual needs, and we want to assure patients, families, and the public that all the proper steps will be followed," end quote. According to ADMH, while these changes will mean fewer public sector jobs, it creates more for the private sector. As the GOP candidates get set to face off in the Arizona and Michigan primaries later this month, questions are starting to be asked here in Alabama about voting requirements. WVUA's Matt McCoy joins me now to give us an update on the remaining hopefuls, as well as some helpful information for the voters here in West Alabama. Matt?
Thanks, John. The next primaries are the 28th, and for Mitt Romney, he's hoping for the W in his home state of Michigan. Mitt Romney grew up in Michigan. His father served as governor in the 1960s. This afternoon, Romney spoke at Farmington Hills, where he picked up a key endorsement from the Michigan governor. Even with his hometown advantage, Santorum is leading the polls among likely Republican voters in the northern state. In a poll released this week, Romney and Santorum are neck to neck around the country. But it's Romney who's edging out the competition with women. The survey showed 38% of likely female GOP voters polled would support Romney, while 27% of men polled said they would support Romney. On the other hand, 29% of women polled said they would support Santorum, while 37% of men said they would support Romney. Well, as for here in Alabama, our primary is set for March 13th, and you're quickly losing time to register. Here are some important dates to keep in mind and write down in your planners. Alabama's primary is, like I said, March 13th, with March 2nd as the registration deadline. People who are wishing to vote on an absentee ballot have until March 8th to turn in their application, and then they have until the 12th to turn in their actual absentee ballots. If needed, the Alabama primary runoff is set for April 24th of 2012. Now, the dates set for the election season are getting closer and closer to. The municipal elections are set for August 28th, and with the general election being between current Democratic President Barack Obama and the winner of the GOP nomination is set for the 6th of November. But you only have until the 26th of October to register to be able to vote in the election. Voters have until the first day in November to apply for the absentee ballots, and then by the 5th to turn in the absentee ballots. Now, Gingrich and President Obama spent the day in California, where Obama made a surprise visit to a local diner. Gingrich is planning to head to Georgia to campaign in his home state next. John?
Okay, Richard, see you in a little bit. Donations continue to pour into the Tuscaloosa Disaster Relief Fund nearly a year after tornadoes ravaged the city. Tonight, the Alabama Credit Union presented the mayor's office with a $15,000 check. The money was the result of a calendar sale the credit union organized with WVUA and Scripps and Cover TV. The check will go towards the city's rebuilding efforts. It was presented during the taping of tonight's show.
This donation will help education, parks and green spaces, all the city infrastructure that was impacted by the storm, and just really help rebuild the homes that were lost in the storm. Over 5,000 homes and businesses were affected by the storm, so we hope to use this fund, use this donation to help rebuild those.
The calendars featured photographs taken right after the storm donated by the Tuscaloosa News. Alabama Credit Union employees have also been volunteering in the community and helping with the rebuilding efforts. In tonight's Home Team Crime Watch, a new bill aimed at stopping looters. Attorney General Luther Strange is asking legislatures to make looting a Class C felony. Under the new bill, if looting occurs during a state emergency, a violator could be sent to prison for up to 10 years and face a possible $15,000 fine. Following last April's tornadoes, looters came from all over, some from even out of state. The trial continues in the case of a man accused of killing his wife while on their honeymoon in Australia. Gabe Watson is charged with capital murder. Today, Judge Tommy Nail scolded attorneys for wasting time by asking a witness questions they can't answer. Prosecutors claim Watson drowned his wife thinking he could collect $210,000 in insurance money. The defense maintains it was an accident. In your local Money Watch tonight, building your nest egg. It may seem like saving for the future is an impossible thing to do, but as certified financial planner Jan Breakfeld shows us, there is a way to save without even thinking about it.
If you've taken a look lately at your savings account and you're not really happy with what you see, then the best way to provide or even recoup the money you'll need for the future is to save a lot more now. Here's a good way to start. Pay yourself first through payroll deductions into your company's 401k retirement plan or savings account. Dollars are invested every month throughout the year, so in a market that's up one month and down the next, you won't buy as many shares at high